Time to take another trip to Esluna. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to the first 4 episodes of Esluna, the first Monolith. And so you may be wondering, okay, where's this coming from? Is this a first impression? No, this is not. This is a series reaction, and it's a series of short episodes. Like, the episodes aren't super long. That's why we're doing 4 at once. And this is actually a temporary replacement for One Piece, because as we had stated when the last episode of One Piece came out last week, this week and next week there is no One Piece. There's 2 weeks off. And so I decided, you know what? This would be a good time to get to this. It's 9 episodes long. We can do that in two reactions. And again, they're short episodes. Like, I think they're shorter than 15 minutes each. And like, I think the first one is like only like 8 minutes or something. So they're pretty short. But this is a I don't know how much of so, but a prequel series to the movie that we watched the other week, The World's Divide. So for those who didn't check that out, I would definitely suggest doing so. The World's Divide was a 2-hour film that was written, directed, and animated by a single person, Denver Jackson. Denver wrote, directed, and edited it with, you know, some help in some other regards from some other crew members and all. Obviously voice cast and everything. And for a short time, the movie was having a limited release online. I got permission and did my reaction to it during that limited release. And now I'm going to check out this series. So this takes place obviously in the period of time of Esluna, which, as we find out in the movie, is kind of the future and everything. And I don't know when this takes place comparatively to the main film, but I believe it is earlier in the timeline. I just don't know how much earlier, and I don't know if it is going to directly connect to Worlds Divide in any way. I don't know if it is like that direct of a prequel, or if it's more like just, oh, it takes place at an earlier point in the same world. I don't know. I don't know if we'll see any of the same characters. I don't know if we'll see or hear about any of the same situations or whatnot. I just don't know. But I'm very curious to find out, because I really, really loved the movie. Worlds Divide was just such a shocking, sudden surprise hit for me, because it practically came out of nowhere for me. I believe I mentioned in the reaction to that, but I saw it, like, I believe it was Jeff from Mother's Basement make a random post on it, and that's the first I had ever heard about it, and is this little indie thing. And yeah, it's like I had no idea this was a thing until I saw that tweet, and it's just like just this random tweet I saw. And so it was kind of like this big surprise to be like, to see this in the first place. But then on top of that, to actually get to watch it and react to it and just enjoy it as much as I did. If I look at my list here, I want to get this completely right before I say anything. Give me just a second. If I look at my list here on Letterboxd, in terms of movies that I consider to be, and this is a very small list, all things considered, movies that I consider to be perfect, this is on there. And it's my number 7, so it's not like the top echelon of those movies. But Worlds Divide, I do consider to be perfect. I have no complaints. I have no issues with it. And it was such a great film for me. And so I'm hoping that this series, this short series, does like live up to that. Now, the title. So obviously Esluna is just the location. It's just this land that we live in now. The first monolith, though, is the more interesting part. As we found out in the movie, the monoliths are... Oh, by the way, just as a little warning here, I will be talking about spoilers about the movie, The Worlds Divide, so I would definitely suggest... I would definitely suggest watching that first. Unless you want to watch them in, like, chronological order, then I guess watch this. But I'm going to be talking about spoilers from that movie. Not huge ones necessarily, but I will be talking about spoilers. So, just giving you that warning now. So, the monoliths, as we initially think in the movie that they're these devices, these pods that if a person goes into, they're transported into another world. But it's eventually revealed that they're just cryo chambers. And that this other world is literally just hundreds of thousands of years into the future. It's the same world that they started on. And so the first monolith, I would imagine, is the first one of these that maybe not the first one built, but the first one that was maybe successful. And we're going to see like the first person to go into the future via this. Which I would imagine that would be the brother from the movie, right? So maybe this will follow the characters from the movie. I don't know. I don't know for sure. I'm just going based on what I remember from it. By the way, I'm bad with names, so I'm not like remembering all the names right now. I believe the brother's fake name was Batar, which was the name he got from the soldier who helped him as a kid. But I don't remember his actual name right now. I'm bad with names, especially when I'm watching so much. It's like, yeah, it's going to be hard to keep up with everything. Apologies for that. But yeah, I guess we'll see. Like I said, we're doing the first 4 episodes today. The first episode I have here is actually 6 minutes long. But they get longer, and I guess we'll be doing the last 5 episodes next week. So, yeah. We'll see how it goes. In the meantime, let's just get into this. See what these first 4 episodes are like. I'm sorry if I seem a little scatterbrained today. I've just been like a little out of it this morning. I don't know why. Just having a little moment of, I wouldn't say brain fog, but my mind's not like quite clicking into place. At least not yet. So sorry if I seem a little weird this morning or during these reactions or whatnot. But let's just get into it and see what these first 4 episodes have in store for us. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so yeah, this is a pretty, like, direct prequel to a degree. We see, like, a younger Batar in this. We see him first come out of the Monolith, and then 12 years later, he's more grown up, very argumentative, and a bit, a bit hot-headed, but is just trying to get home. His overall goal is trying to get home, though he clearly doesn't know at this point that he can't. He clearly doesn't know at this point that it's like, that's not how this works. um so that's interesting in and of itself. We seem to follow Maeve as almost the main character of this. And yeah, I believe Maeve was the older woman who was friends with Batar in the and the other guy in the movie. Also, Queen Lita is the mother of Edena, or Edina, however it was pronounced, from the movie. So I was right about that. I got that down. And yeah, this just seems to take place some amount of time prior. We don't know exactly the amount of time, at least I don't offhand. But this was good. It wasn't as good as the movie. And not just because of the character animation not being as good. I wasn't as into the story, personally. Not that I'm not into it at all. I definitely am. It's just not as into it. So, yeah, we follow kind of like a group of characters as they come together to try and get this orb back, to try and, help Batar get home. And, well, in Maeve's case, she's just trying to continue to power this robot because it's like the only thing she has left of her mother and everything, who died from some, like, horrifically painful illness, it seemed. Maeve is very, very focused on her mission, to the point where she's extremely rough towards other people. She feels like anyone else who, in her eyes, is trying to just kind of not distract her from her goal, but like do things that would help hurt her overall goal. She feels like they're the enemy almost, and so she has a hard time like connecting with them. She also has these family issues because her grandmother had left and wasn't around when her mother died, and she has a lot of hang-ups about that because she loved her mother, obviously. And it's just hard to see like someone going through that kind of pain and having held that in for so long. Meanwhile, Batar is like in a world from his eyes not his own, and is just doesn't have anyone except Yoki, who's like just a good friend of his, though they argue a lot. But Batar is clearly at that age where it's like, oh yeah, he thinks he's hot shit. He thinks he's like not just the best around, but also deserving of all the respect and admiration and everything. He's at that age, and so his personality makes sense. Yoki is very like, positive and fun loving. We see how Queen Lita is very intense and scary, and not, from what we could tell, a good person, which we already did know that from Worlds Divide. Like, the cycle of trauma and abuse that she instilled upon her daughter was kind of one of the big reasons for, the big conflict of the film. So, that's never great. I think the guy who was in the tavern competing against Frey, I think he was supposed to be the other guy because he had the beard like the guy from the movie. the other friend, he didn't come into play like outside of that one scene in this series so far, but that doesn't mean he won't. There's also the movie, which again is between this and the other movie that's between this and Worlds Divide. So that might also explore that a little more too. Like I said in the reaction, the character animation is not the best here. It's definitely not on the level that it has reached with Worlds Divide, but that makes sense. That's like just with how these projects are made with such a small crew and everything. I don't mind that. I'm not going to like consider that a fault. It's just how it is. It still looks good. Like the art style is still good. The backgrounds are gorgeous still. There's a lot of great visuals to this, so it doesn't bother me at all. Um, I really enjoyed the soundtrack. I thought the soundtrack worked really well, and the story was good. It's like the story definitely felt like it was, a prequel to the events of Worlds Divide and all. So I'm very curious as to how far this is going to go. I assume it's mostly going to be about getting the orb back and everything. Um, but I'm very curious to see how far it like delves into. Like, is Batar gonna find out in this one that he's from the past and not another world? That's a big question I have. Obviously, I don't want spoilers, but I'm very curious about that. Um, yeah, this was a strong start. I would say that this was a strong start. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't like amazing. There were some parts that were a little slow, some parts that were a little eh. There's a lot of things that it leaves you to figure out on your own, while other things it just tells you. And so it's like you sometimes you don't have all the information that I feel you maybe should, and I just don't connect with the characters outside of Batar as much, and Batar only because of how important he was to the movie, to Worlds Divide. But like you compare this to let me see if I can get this name real quick, Natomi. You compare this to Natomi from Worlds Divide, and it's like I just liked her a lot more than I like Maeve here. Natomi's character was just so much more interesting to me. Um, and it's just I feel like overall this comparatively doesn't feel as grand. Even though we get all these great excellent views of all these locations and stuff, it doesn't feel as grand to me yet. Which, mind you, that could just be because this was an earlier work and, things hadn't quite been worked out to the full extent yet. That can happen. It's still really good. I still have enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So, like I said, we're going to do the last 5 episodes next week, since we're still waiting on One Piece to return anyway. Um, and hopefully it gets even better. Hopefully it takes a step up. But we shall see. In the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of these first 4 episodes of Esluna the First Monolith? Um, what did you think of it compared to the movie? Let me know your thoughts on all of that and more down below. And what do you think of like Maeve compared to Natomi? Let me know that as well. But for now, yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.